The United Nations says the deteriorating humanitarian situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo is being compounded by the spreading violence in the country. Speaking to reporters in Geneva, the head of the UN Humanitarian Office in the DRC, Rain Paulson, said over 100,000 people were forced to flee their homes just last week, bringing the number of the displaced in the central Kasai region to nearly 1.3 million. Attacks on aid workers in the country, he said, has also made it difficult to reach populations in need, a factor accounting for the acute level of malnutrition.
One of the key drivers for this acute level of malnutrition also relates to the overlap between epidemics and the health situation and what's happening in the country. So last year in the DRC, we had to face a cholera epidemic at scale. We had to face a measles epidemic with close to 30,000 proven cases in the former Katanga province.
An estimated 3.7 million people have been internally displaced in the DRC since August 2016, with some 460,000 others living as refugees in 9 neighboring countries. The UN says it has had fresh reports of interethnic fighting in the Kasais, including the Penda and Chokwe ethnic groups against the Luba. In April, the UN said it documented 40 mass grave sites and killings of more than 400 people in Kasai.
Scenes like this one are becoming all too common in the Somali capital, Mogadishu. A large explosion has just ripped through a busy coffee shop, killing at least 8 people and maiming a dozen others. Al-Shabaab fighters claimed responsibility for the attack. It's the morning after, and traders have already begun the painstaking process of repairing their shops damaged in the bombing.
These attacks happen almost every day. We are somehow used to them. It's our resilience that keeps us going. We have no option but to pick up the pieces, repair our shattered buildings, and simply move on.
Somalia's new government is under pressure to deal with the continuing violence and instability. It's now embarked on an ambitious plan to increase the size of its security forces. At Mogadishu's police academy, instructors prepare new recruits for the battles ahead. It's a program fully paid for by donors.
The international community has been very generous to Somalia. We've received invaluable assistance from countries such as Britain in our efforts to rebuild our forces.
African Union peacekeepers are also assisting government troops to hold on to areas under their control. They too are paid for by the West to do a job many Western governments won't. The peacekeepers are also a key plank in the efforts to train Somalia's struggling forces. The Somali government remains weak, even with the support of thousands of African Union peacekeepers. The new administration plans to increase the number of its troops to 22,000 and its police force to 32,000. It's these men and women that the government wants to eventually replace the African Union peacekeepers. Corruption and non-payment of troop salaries have until now been obstacles to efforts to bring peace to Mogadishu. Somalia's new Prime Minister says they are addressing that.
In order to tackle corruption, we need to promote good governance. We need to be able to provide services to our people. We need to be able to pay everyone who works for the government and ensure that everyone who is paid works for the government. It is therefore important that we see this as a holistic picture to ensure that the Somali people do believe in the system.
For now, Somalia's newest police recruits train on. They know their people's hope for peace rests on their shoulders. They say they will need all the help they can get.